Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys here. I'm Christian Ocampo, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, uh, making her presence here in the dubbing world is Avery Smithhart. How you doing, Avery?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you here, especially for your first ever interview. As we get started here.
Yeah, it's awesome to get to with you guys.
All right, so we're excited, and we got some questions ready to get rolling with you. First of all, what is it like working in the industry today?
It's changed a lot. I think that I'll probably echo a lot of thought processes that other actors have said as well. With the advent of the internet, I think it allowed a lot more of, I guess, our generation, millennials, to kind of come in and have that opportunity to work with veterans. But some of the people that I've worked with have been in the industry for 20 plus years. So they were there when they used physical tape, and editing that was cutting that apart and watching it on a TV screen. Now we have monitors and we have that instant feedback. So I would say it's one of the best times to enter into the industry because the process itself has been smoothed out tremendously, and it's a bit more of a what's the word, an assembly line, so you can see it happening in real time versus you record and you're just like, hope they got what they needed. You know what I mean? So I think I'm grateful to be at a time that it's happening like this, as I say that in the most roundabout way possible. But yeah, dubbing is awesome. It's been modernized tremendously, and I think localization and just voice acting in general has come so far, like especially with like mouth flaps and how things can be matched up almost identical now. We don't have to worry about, like, when we tell your parents, like, oh, I do dubbing, they're thinking you're either A, translating Japanese in real time, which thanks, Mom, I don't have that talent, but that would be very cool. Or they think of like 80s Godzilla films. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, what a throwback!
What a throwback.
All right. So obviously, for our viewers watching this, we all know you're new. You just started like probably like a year or two ago.
Yeah, a year.
So during your time in this ever growing industry, what is your favorite show you have worked on?
Mhm. So I have been a big fan of anime ever since I was a kid, but I don't think I knew what anime was until like the seventh or eighth grade. And once I decided I wanted to be a voice actor, I was like 15 or 16, and I dreamed about this question. Like, when you have fake interviews with yourself, like, oh, Ellen, like, of course I'll tell you about my life. Okay, let me think. So, favorite. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to give the kind of diplomatic answer, like the pageant answer, where you're like, every character offers a unique and challenging opportunity. But I think the most memorable character recently, well, okay, I'll give you a twofer. One I can't talk about yet because it's not announced, but, that's hard. I'm trying to think because I have so much good stuff going on right now, which I'm very thankful for. Okay, I think probably the most prominent one that people would recognize is Ange. That was the first time I was given a lead, and then it was like kind of a big deal. Even I was aware of what Princess Principal was, and that was one of the first times I got to work with Kyle Jones. So I was really excited to work with him, and then we ended up working on Land of the Lustrous. So that opened the door to work with different directors. So I would say, I said Ange, didn't I? Ange, as we say, which I think in the Japanese is like Angie or something like that. I'm very sorry if I'm saying that wrong.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think she was the most challenging because she's externally very closed off. She has to be. She's a spy, but internally we find out, which I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but a lot about her emotional inner workings and how she's had to shut that part of her off. And so I think it was exciting to be able to switch between kind of schoolgirl Ange, where she's like really bubbly and kind of she's coming off as like, oh, she's simple, she doesn't know what she's talking about, and then to switch into like she's all together, which is not me at all. Me in real life is just like, hey, we're going on a mission. It's just like I'd be the worst spy ever. So hats off to Ange and how talented she is. And then I think the other character, because I said I'd give you a twofer, is probably Cinnabar, because in my mind I thought Cinnabar was the most different from my natural voice, but then when my sister listened to it, she was like, yeah, that's just you. I was like, well, great, I thought I was being different. But Cinnabar was the first time I got to make like action noises. I think Ange has a brief scene where she kind of like fights someone with her sea ball, but with Cinnabar, they come in and they throw like a giant pool of mercury down, and so I felt like I was in a shonen for a second, so I got really excited. It's a weird little takeaway, but that was something that was really important to me, and it was a blast to play a character like that.
Some very good shows, and we're about to ask him very soon in this interview. So, just so we timeline the shows he worked on, let us begin with one of the first ones that was announced on High Dive last year.
Yeah.
What was it like working on Doreiku, the animation?
So, Doreiku was wild. I think that was the first character I got to play where I was in the booth for more than like an hour or so, and it was a weekly show. So the first show I actually got to work on, which you'd have to go back a ways, and it's like not like a named part, was I did Walla for like Flip Flappers, and I remember I was working with John Swayze. So he definitely was kind of my in at Sentai. I actually took one-on-one classes with him back in 2014, and he gave me advice about, I know it's been a while, like what paths to pursue and kind of how to improve as an actor and as an individual. At the time I met him, I actually was in like gap year at college, and I'm going way back. You're like, hey, that's not the question that I asked you. But he advised me to go back to college to invest in like, which is my same advice to other people, not necessarily the college bit, but to get involved locally. So local theater. I ended up majoring in telecommunications, and then did some on-camera work to improve my speech. I actually had severe anxiety with voiceover, even though that's what I wanted to do. I was like really shy and introverted, and like the first time I got in the booth, I could barely breathe. And so John's like, yeah, we're just gonna do this real quick, just it'll be fine, you come in at like 5:03. I'm like, okay, this is just a dream of mine, gonna do that real quick. Okay. And so I've calmed down a lot. It's actually kind of my happy place now, but before I was like nervous sweats, like, okay, we're going to record and I can't mess this up. But yeah, so it was Flip Flappers, and then we did Spirit of the Sun. I had a brief part in that, and then the Tibetan Dog, I think. John called me in. But yeah, Doreiku was the first show that I auditioned for, and that was a whole experience because we just had little character sides, and I was thinking, well, they're not going to pick me for this part because I think looking at Ayaka, who I played, she would be the kind of like upbeat, bubbly, like loud type person. And the roles I had got before that had been my natural voice, which tends to be a bit more subdued. And so I went in, and we had no visuals. I don't think we had visuals yet. So I just went in there. I read it with John reading for the guy part. And I was like, okay, well, I hope that made you happy. And then he called me a few days later. He was like, yeah, we want you to come in, and don't worry, it's a really weird show, which, let's be honest, it's super weird. And your character does this. So if you see my episode, she does some poor things to Adam Gibbs' character, which I'm very sorry about. I think like the next week I saw him in studio, and I was just like, hey, bud, we've never met, but I'm sorry. But yeah, so working on that was a lot of fun. I know, right? Poor guy. He handled it super well. He's like, who are you again? I'm Adam Gibbs. I'm like, that's fair. What's up? Hi, nice to meet you. We've actually played opposite one another in a lot of shows now, and luckily I don't have to do what I did then, so. But yeah, I think that Eiku, just the way it was written, Ayaka got resolved pretty quickly, so I kind of wish I could have seen her character evolve a bit more and have more to do. We had her initial episode, and then she had a brief scene with, I think, David Matranga's character, whose name eludes me, and then Christine Otten, where I had to, like, eat silverware. That was a weird recording experience. I remember I was doing it, and John and the audio engineer, Brent, were like, hey, can you, choke a little bit more and just sound really disgusted? I'm like, I mean, she's eating silverware, I guess. So I did it, and I was like, I almost burped. So like, we wanted to record that. I was like, well, I'm sorry, I've never done this before. So that was something you get to tell people as a voice actor, like, have you eaten silverware? Didn't think so. Weird retort. I'm workshopping it. It's fine.
All right. Another question, and you already touched upon this one. What was it like working on Princess Principal?
Oh man, Princess Principal. That one had a pretty quick turnaround. We ended up recording all of my character within a week. So it's just like, stay in town, record for like 4 to 5 hours a day, and then come back. So I think I actually like that recording process a little bit better. That doesn't always get to happen, especially if a director and actor is working on multiple shows. But you could kind of remember what you did. When shows are, I guess, weekly, sometimes you can forget. You can come back and be like, what What were we doing? I'm almost dead. Perfect. Let me just get in that zone real quick. But no, Princess Principal was easily the most rewarding experience I've had as an actor, and I hope for more in the future. But that was kind of the bedrock of me being like, okay, I'm doing this. This is my job, and I was so thankful. Like I said, for Kyle Jones, he's an excellent director, excellent friend. He's someone I look up to a lot, and I think him giving me that opportunity to work with people that have been in the industry for a while, like Rachel Messer. We had Patricia Duran, Words Are Escaping Me, Shania Moore, and who am I missing? Oh gosh, who was Dorothy? Who was Dorothy?
I think it was Elizabeth Bunch.
Elizabeth Bunch, yes. So getting to work with them and then having like Jay Hickman and John sprinkled throughout the show and Lucy Christian and Brittany Karbowski, like, it was awesome. And I think kind of circling around back to John, he gave me great advice that I've carried with me, and I think that's what's helped me calm down when I'm in the booth. But he's like, you can be a fan outside of the booth. You could be like, oh my gosh, these are people that I listened to growing up, and it's awesome. But like, when you're in the booth, like, they're your colleagues, they're your peers, this is your job. And I think that helps you get over a lot of, I guess, I'm green. I know that I'm new to the industry, but kind of that feeling of like maybe imposter syndrome of just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, boys. But yeah, they're all kind people, and voiceover is a great industry because I know I sound very pageanty, but voiceover is a great industry because to me the competitiveness is less, and because it's so small, everyone knows everyone, and you genuinely want people to succeed. Like when I don't get cast, my first thought isn't like, nuts, not again. It's mostly just like, well, of course, the other person, is like, it's made for that part, and as long as I get in the booth at any point, I'm a happy camper, man. Like, you want me to do 3 lines as, like, a creepy old witch? Perfect! Let me do it. So, yeah.
All right. Another show that has had high praises from last year. What was it like working on Land of the Lustrous?
Land of the Lustrous was awesome because I think just the manga itself is fantastic material, and everyone should read it. It's buck wild. I don't know where it's going. Not going to spoil anything, but what? The animation itself is gorgeous. I think it's a credit to how well CGI can be done. So to be a part of something that's visually different was awesome. I think anime has come in, like, I guess animation in general has far and away just made broad strokes and massive strides towards just, I don't know how to put it. I'm like stumbling because I get so excited. It's just, it's a beautiful medium, and it's so cool to get to see how far it's come from when we grew up. And like, there's still the nostalgia of watching things where it's like, hey, and then someone moves, you're like, my childhood. But it's just, you know what I'm saying? I'm rambling because, like I said, I get so excited about it. But Land of the Lustrous is awesome. I think that was another show. I got to work with Sarah Wiedenheft, in which I play an ornery redhead. That seems to be a trend with me for a little bit. But her as Foss is amazing. She's funny and cute and weird and hilarious and super talented. And then that was an all-female cast. So that's a really cool opportunity because at the time that I entered Sentai, we had a lot of all-male shows, which are now coming back around, like Haikyuu. Sudane, I think, is the one thing that I was in. It just wrapped up. There was an all-male cast. And so I always like when it's all female, or we have like a nice little healthy sprinkle, because then you get to work with more people. And it's always exciting to kind of have that Rolodex of like, oh, I got to work with this person. That's awesome. And so they have a nice little medley of voices. Let me think about Cinnabar in particular. Cinnabar was interesting because I got to scold poor Savannah Menzel, who plays Diamond. I think at one point Diamond was like, Foss has been turned into a snail. And I'm just like, well, it's whatever. Which is hilarious because Savannah in real life is very much like Diamond. She's just like super kind and just walks around and lives her best life. And so I had to hug her. I was like, you did great. I'm not angry with you. Yes. Cinnabar's a lot of emotional depth. Playing them was amazing. So I'm very thankful. I don't know that I answered your question. Got a little caught in the weeds, but nope. Doing my best.
It's good. And let's hope for season 2. I hope they make it.
God, I hope for season 2. Cinnabar kind of goes away for a long time. They show up just briefly, but, I'm there in spirit, just lurking, wanting to be friends. Do my best.
All right. Another show we worked on. This one has been kind of interesting one and very risque in different aspects. Scum's Wish. What was it like working on that show?
So, Scum's Wish, I booked that while I was recording Dedeku, and that was my first time working with Shannon Reed, who's awesome. He's hilarious. If you want to make him mad, ask him about Land Before Time. I won't say anything else, but if you ever interview him, just ask him about Land Before Time. Shannon's going to hate me for saying that. But, so I auditioned for that, and I was still settling into my own register, my own voice just as an actor. I think that when you're new, at least what I went through, like I can't speak for everyone, but you may not know how you actually sound. And sometimes you may come into the booth with preconceived notions of what an anime voice is. So when I auditioned for Hanabi, I actually did her higher pitch than she is, like, once the finished product was done, because I thought, like, my normal voice was too deep, which is funny because listening back, like, then you hear people like Carly Mosier and you're like, yeah, I don't have a deep voice. I'm a child. I'm a baby. But I auditioned, and Shannon, I got a call back, and that was the first time I'd experienced kind of that casting process. And they're like, hey, we really like what you did. Maybe just use your normal voice. You don't need to worry about being like, I did you. And I was like, perfect. Thanks. I made it myself. I can do that. So went in, didn't think I got it, but wanted it really badly. And I just started a new job at, like, I think just like an everyday job at like an engineering firm. And I told my boss, like, just so you know, voiceover could take off for me. Just be prepared. And they're like, mm-hmm. I was like, yeah. But I remember the person who schedules the shows called me, and they were just like, hey, so you got the part. I went, what part? They were like, for Scum's Wish. I'm like, who? They're like, who you auditioned for? I'm like, okay, sorry, it's my first time. So that was my first lead. I think that was more than an episode or two. So I was recording Dedeku and then Scum's Wish. I got to work opposite Adam Noble, Molly Searcy, I think is how you say her name, Greg Cote, and then just a lot of people, Brittany Karbowski too. That was one of the first times. And so Hanabi is entirely internal. The show itself is all internal monologues. We don't really see her emote much. So, how could I forget Maggie Flecknoe? Maggie Flecknoe, who's excellent, but Akane can get bent. So I actually auditioned for Akane, and I thought, like, I'm definitely going to get this. I'm super sultry sexy. And then I heard Maggie, and I was like, oh, no, that is Maggie. Like, Maggie, oh my god, she made me hate her in the best way. Like, she was like the Joffrey of the show, and that she just acted the hell out of that. But yeah, I remember, it was weird. Like, I got to act through a lot of emotional stuff, just like from high school, of, like, pining after someone who doesn't love you, and then, like, sure, I guess I'll date you, and then it's just like, that show wrenched my heart out, I think, and I did something that I would advise you not to. I was recording 8-hour days, so we would go in, it was just 9 to 5, Scum's Wish kind of thing. That's not 8 hours. 9 to 6, we had an hour break. But I just remember, like I said, I was the baby of the group, and that actually helped the character of Hanabi, who to me is like this very soft, malleable presence, and she was able to emote and feel things in a similar way that I used to, which is just so introverted and not being able to explain yourself in a way that makes sense, and almost maybe hurting people because of your inaction. Like, she's a very passive character, and then through the series she gets a little bit more active and kind of takes the reins in her life. But I thought it was cool to actually see a series that's 12 episodes where a character starts off passive and they're making poor decisions, and you're like, oh my gosh, why do you guys keep doing this? And then near the end, her being like, look, I need to go figure out who I love. You need to go figure out who you love. I'm over this situation. So I was really proud to see how far that she kind of came throughout that. And she didn't have that many outbursts. I think, just thinking about how much she had to emote, I think there was maybe 1 or 2 with Sinai, which I wanted her to end up with Sinai, because I really liked Sinai. Molly Searcy was just like, emotions. But anytime she did, we kind of ratcheted up. So Shannon would, I think there's one scene in particular where she goes to like this music room or something, and she's thinking about brother, which was weird to say because Shannon was like, just so you know, they're not related. And I was like, okay, I've done weirder shows. But yeah, so having Adam Noble be a complete dunce and not notice me, which is fine. I don't know their age difference. We're not going to get into that. But anyway, that was a fun show. Couldn't really tell my family and friends about that one. Although we did watch the first episode of Dedeku with my friends, and they were like, what's the opposite of a boner? I was like, shut up! I know, it's uncomfortable. I don't know if that's inappropriate, but just Get real, Christian.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Good laughs. All right, another show that had all female cast, Release the Spice. What was the opinion on that show?
Yeah, so that was, I think, the second show that I had worked on with John, other than Dedeku. We'd done a couple of bit parts and stuff, but that had Juliet Simmons, who I've looked up to so long. She's a character. She's hilarious. Whenever I met her in the, in like the little entryway to Sentai, I was like, oh, hello, you're Juliet Simmons. It's nice to meet you. As if introducing myself as her. It wasn't my best plan. I'm working on it, Christian. I'm working on it. But she was like, that's me. It's like, you sing Hatsune Miku covers. She's like, yeah, who are you? I was like, we're in some shows together. And then she called me out because I had a Darling in the Franxx button on my backpack. She's like, oh, I see what you're into. I was like, it's a good show. But that was really fun because, let's see, it was me, Juliet, Kat Thomas, who's also Mysteria Friends, which was just announced. Words are failing me. Christina Kelly, who's so funny. Help me out. Christina Kelly, me, Kat Thomas.
Kira Vincent Davis.
Juliet. Oh, Kira. Hello, Kira. Yeah, she was also in Dedeku. She played a very interesting character, but as always... Oh, me and Kira. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. It's all coming back to me now. I'm solving everything. Me and Kira were also in Seven Heavenly Virtues, which is... If you're into ecchi, it's 4 minutes long. Good luck. My character has a very big heart, and obviously they hired me for my physical. Just kidding. I look like a 12-year-old boy, so it's fine. I'm rocking it. I'm living my best life. But yeah, so Kira was the leader of that group. I played Goei, who there really wasn't too much to Goei until I think the mid part of the series, where I got to have that kind of shonen moment again, where she just freaks the hell out after kind of like some kind of neurotoxin or something is released and she goes crazy pants. But I'm actually the ace in the hole, which was exciting, so I get to be cool. But then they never really bring that up again. So I'm basically like, hey, I'm out front. Cool. I'm a sniper. I will never hang out with my friends. I just want to be part of the cool kids, part of their world. But yeah, Goei was fun when she was allowed to be a little bit crazy. But I think as time goes on, I just like characters that can be a little bit wacky, and add humanity to that wackiness, which I think Goei did very well.
Alright. Another show worked on, and this one was really beautifully done and greatly directed. Tada Never Falls in Love. What was the opinion of that show?
Tada! Oh, David Wald, what a beautiful love of my life. David Wald is such a pure being that I cherish tremendously. Like, I will sing his praises forever. I actually got to work on a little show that will be announced soon with him, and we hadn't been in the booth in a while, and I was like, I miss you. So he was new-ish to Sentai with directing. He'd been doing a couple things. I don't even think Love Stage had been announced. I don't even know what he was doing. So he was doing it was before Bloom Into You and all that stuff. So it was like Tada was one of his kind of first things. And if I'm incorrect about that, David, I'm sorry. I'm new and very dumb. So his idea was that Teresa and Alec were going to be Danish. And I think Sarah Wiedenheft, I'm not going to say where she's from. I know that she's from the Netherlands. That's probably wrong.
That was from Luxembourg.
No. So in the show, yeah. Oh, from the show, they're from Larsenburg. I don't know where Sarah Wiedenheft is in real life, but she can do a Danish accent like nobody's business. So that's before I had met her or heard her, and he told me, well, for Alec, we want to kind of make it our own, so we kind of did like a combo of Russian, Danish, which a lot of people thought it was Russian. I can understand that. It's a made-up accent. It's whatever you want it to be. But he recommended I watch a Meryl Streep movie, which is completely failing me, and I have failed him. I'm going to look it up and keep talking to you and act like I lost my phone. I'm trying to play it cool, David. Anyway, it stars Robert Redford and Meryl Streep. Something Africa. But let's dig it up. Anyway, so she speaks with a Danish accent, and it's like a 3-hour-long movie, and I watched it every night for like a week because I wanted to do a really good job. Danish accents are hard to find. You have Mads Mikkelsen from Hannibal, who's awesome, but his is a bit more subdued. So I practiced that for Alec, and that was probably my biggest roadblock and fear when going on with the show, because I was like, I had never done an accent. I don't know the timeline. I may have done Princess, but that's a British accent, and that's a little bit easier to do than a made-up one. So I went into that show kind of blind. I didn't know that it actually was all out yet, so I just kind of watched it piece by piece, and we recorded, I think, 3 to 4 episodes at a time. And Alec just stole my heart. Like, I relate to her so much because her feelings for Charles can't really rival her feelings for Teresa. Like, she cares about her so much as a friend. Like, she's more than a bodyguard. Like, she is loyal as the day is long. And just seeing how she cares for that character and getting to that was a really bad, hey, guess what? My phone was under my foot. Anyway, getting to act opposite Mike, who, I love Mike, but getting to act opposite him as Kaoru and have this kind of wacky character. It's just like, hey, Mitsuyoshi! You know, and I'm just like, I'm going to kill you. It's just like the whole kind of thing. But was funny because you have Josh Greeley, who I first heard him in was oh my god, Princess Jellyfish? That's wrong. That's right. Wrong? Anyway. Yes. And I just remember being blown away by his performance and being like, I want to do that. I want to be able to bring the emotional depth that he brought to kind of outlandish or seemingly outlandish characters. So he's obviously Tada. And then we have Savannah Menzel as Yui. And I think David Hardbold is Grandpa. Yes. But yeah, so I think that going into Alec, the accent was a concern, but then kind of getting to know the character and how she is actually so soft and so tender, and how she's a romantic. Like, whenever they're at the onsen or something like that, and I think they're talking about falling in love, and Yui asks Teresa if she has a boyfriend, and Alec's like, she does? And they're like, what? She's like, just kidding. And she's like, I read a lot of books. And Teresa's like, she has no experience with love. I relate to that. But yeah, I think she was a really fun character. Her comedic timing was very deadpan, which is something I love playing off of, because you have the high, wacky characters up here, and then she was just, like, cutting right through them. So I think she will always be have a very special place in my heart. David Wald will always have a very special place in my heart. He actually, whenever we were brought on, gave us, he goes, it's your badge, and he got us little character buttons, so I have a little Alec button, and I'm like, it's me! Granted, it won't work if I get pulled over, but you never know. So, yeah, Alec she's my first little fiery redhead, and I will always love her.
That's such a beautiful show.
It is! Oh, everyone knocks it out of the park, and David's directing, like, he talked about, I think, in an interview with you, the musicality of the show and just the importance of those human interactions and how I think it's based off of Roman Holiday, the movie. I don't know. But he, as a director, would trust you as an actor. He's like, trust your instincts. I want to see you do it, and then we'll kind of refine it from there. And sometimes with the dubbing process, you don't always get to do that. Sometimes you have to, like, just crank it out as fast as you can. And he was just very patient and took the time to work through it. And it almost felt like theater, like he was directing a play. And he's a great dude. You know this. I don't need to talk about it anymore, but he's a wonderful.
Oh, definitely he is. Very suave.
Very suave.
All right, and the time as we record this interview, another big show was just announced by Sentai High Dive.
Yeah.
What was it like working on Mysteria Friends?
So Mysteria Friends, I was vaguely aware of because I think we're in partnership with Crunchyroll right now. So it was on Crunchyroll, and everyone loves my character Greya. They call her waifu, and I was like, oh boy, howdy, oh wait till you see me. So I'm just hoping that there's a nice divide, and they're like, yeah, we don't think about you. And I'm like, that's a good point. But Greya is funny because she doesn't the whole show is kind of a slice of life. It's very romantic and soft and sweet, and the characters don't do too much. It's just like, we're going to go to town, and we're going to read a letter. And I think it's just kind of like it's like drinking tea. You just kind of drink it, you're like, I feel warm inside. Like, you don't really you just see it for what it is at face value, which is just, girls love each other. They're totally a couple. Don't let anyone tell you wrong. Greya and Anne forever. But Kat was fun to act opposite because she was also in Release the Spice, kind of played a double, triple agent, I don't even know, not to spoil anything, spoilers, but she, as Anne, she was very in your, like, I don't want to say in your face, but compared to Greya, who's, like, back here, and then Anne would be like, hey, what's up? She's like, yeah. But it's actually harder for me to do soft voice characters, especially if, like, they're just super even killed, because over time your breath support's like, yes. So I think I recorded something with one of the directors where I had to be like really loud and crazy. And then we went to go record an episode for Mystery Friends. I was like, I think Gray is going to be a little too deep, yo. I got to get some tea. So I had to make sure she was very soft and airy and she's a princess, and that's not me. I'm a beautiful goblin and I own it. So that show was fun. I'm glad people like that beautiful Ficarita waifu, as the kids say. That was probably embarrassing, but I'm still Buscemi right now, so just Buscemi? I nailed it. Anyway. Dragon waifu. That's me.
All right. Now it's time for the funny question we'd like to ask everyone. If you could be any character you have played in real life, who will you be? And you can mix and match.
Okay. You can. Well. So I think the only character that I've played that has abilities is Gray. Like, Ange is a spy, but she's still human. And then Goe was a spy, but she's still human. I would probably be Greya, just because who doesn't want to fly and have a dope-ass tail? I'm just saying, like, little kid, you want to be a dragon? Live your best life. I've seen Shrek. I don't want to marry Donkey, but you could be a cool female dragon.
All right. Is there anything else coming out that you can talk about, or anything you want to plug in at this time?
So 2 shows will be announced eventually. Obviously, that doesn't help you, but Mystery Friends is on High Dive right now. All of the episodes, I think there's 10 episodes. So if you want to binge that, feel good, have a little cute Yuri in your life, a nice dragon lady, it's there for your enjoyment. Go check it out.
And for those who are viewing this or wondering where to find you on social media, any Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of that good jazz?
So I finally joined Twitter. It was terrifying. Everyone is super nice, so I appreciate the warm welcome. But yeah, it's just my name, at Avery Smithhart on Twitter. I'm going to try to start updating that more consistently. Don't have a Facebook or Instagram, but yeah, Twitter will be the best place to find me.
And we thank you for this interview. We, the Ohio guys, appreciate your time talking about all these great shows you worked on. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you guys. It was an honor to do this. I know we've been trying to connect for a while, but you guys are awesome. I appreciate your time, and this was a blast. I hope you had fun too.
Oh, definitely did. And I also want to thank our viewers for tuning in for this episode of the Ohio Guys here. Thank you all. We'll be all seeing you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.